Okay guys, welcome to this week's episode of Noob Nerds. Today we're going to start looking at basing. Um, we've got some 3D printed bases in this episode, and then next week we'll look into other types of basing. Next week we'll start doing some of these texture rollers to see what they look like on some blank bases, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so first let's start taking a look at some of these bases that I printed out. And I'll paint them up and then we'll go from there. Start taking a look at these as they're in their plain primed form. And then we can see what they look like painted up. It's going to be, I think, the neatest part is got a couple more here. Wanted to print out a variety of different textures and things like that. Some have things, on them, little objects, like this one has a tombstone. This one has mushrooms. This one has reaching hands, which is actually kind of cool. And this one has crystals. Some of the other ones just have like some rocks and some other organic stuff on there. This one, I think, is either lava bubbles or acid bubbles, but we'll see what we want to paint it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and paint base colors on some of these bases that I want to do here. Let's see if we can get all these into. And then from there, I'm going to go through and just start picking out little portions of each thing, and let's see what we got from there. For the other lava one, it was a little more hot at the time, so went with a little more orange and lighter on the black, so it's just starting to cool a little bit. Once again, we'll go through and we'll pick out just some areas with some yellow. Not much, just a little tiny bit, maybe here. Crevice. More colors we do on this, the more dynamic it's going to look. A little bit in here. And let's get a little bit of a glaze yellow here. Let's see if we can get some into some of these other parts, so it's a little bit. Water again kind of flows into some of these spots. Let's see. So basically I just turned that yellow into kind of a wash. And then put it in some of the cracks there. And we'll go back, we'll let that dry. Let's get the edges. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, you know, lava. Okay, so we got two different lava bases here. Okay, let's see what we can do for this one. I'm picturing it as, I don't know, a lava, and these are like, not lava, excuse me, acid. These are like acid bubbles. So let's see if we can make it look a little more, I don't know, gnarly. I'm gonna go ahead and just edge. You're not really gonna be able to see it too much on the camera, unfortunately. It doesn't look like it's picking it up to the color difference. But let's see if we can get it to show up a little better. Just kind of using a neon green here, just to accentuate the bubbles a little bit. Let us try something that I've never done before. Let's try doing a tri-brush in neon green to see what it does. No use in, there's going to be no harm in experimenting, right? Acidy looking. And we'll come back in with a green wash with it or something like that to, you know, see if we can accentuate a little bit more there. Okay, so for this deserty one, I'm just gonna take in, I did it kind of like a sandish yellow, and then I'm gonna put on some reds and browns, and then put on some more sand on there too, just to make it really look like a desert. Went ahead, I painted the tombstone on this one. and we'll give it a little bit of a wash to bring out some of those other colors. Now for the big rocky one, I'm just going to go through and pick out some of the rocks in some of the darker grays, just to give it like a nice dry brush and all that good stuff. And we'll use different shades of gray too, because I mean, you know, rocks right there, well, not all the same. And finally, we'll do a wash over it. Do a wash over it, then dry brush. To bring out some of the highlights. Okay, now for this crystal one, I just gave it a under the bottom. I did in a pavement, which is a very dark gray, and I'm just going to go and do some of these crystals. I'm thinking in a neon green as well. Maybe I don't know. I think it'll look pretty good. So let's try that. I don't know if it's going to look a little too much like a Necron thing or not, but that's not really what I'm going for. But we'll see. Kind of want these to really stand out. And I figure with the dark pavement, it might actually look really good. Okay, so for this big rocky one, I went ahead and I super glued a couple more rocks, like actual rocks onto it, just to give it a little more of a 3D effect. I'm going to go through and put a wash over everything now. And then we'll come back and do a dry brush over it. Back in with a paper towel and just start wicking away some of the excess on the top. Could use a sponge for this. I'm being lazy right now, not walking in, getting a sponge. Okay, we're gonna let that dry up. Okay, so I decided that this doesn't have enough actual rocks on it, so I'm going to throw it a little more. So I just put it on some PVA glue, and we're going to take some tiny little, much smaller rocks this time to make it look little more real, a little more rocks, just a tiny one. So. A little more watered down PVA. See if I can get this just to lock in better. Make sure you shake this stuff up and it can separate. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get back together. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to take that out in the hot Arizona sun and let it dry. Okay, so for the tombstone one, I'm going to put in a little PVA glue and I'm going to throw on some dirt and some flock just to make it look a little bit more realistic. Trusty little thing of sand. And see if we can carefully get this around. Tombstone. What we don't want, we can always brush off. Get a little more PVA on there, and then we'll come in with the flock. I wish I had a static grass applicator, but I don't yet. One day I will. We're going to go down and go ahead and lock that in with that seam, watered down PVA like we did with the rocks. You know, let's scrape some of this away first before we do anything else. Just so we're not, we have this skull. Wow, no, the skull's fine. Let's get some of this. Okay, so I went ahead and I had to do this because this is one of those figures that I really liked. I thought it would be really cool to paint. This is Japanese Yodai, which is like a ghost. So And this basing with the tombstone on it, I thought was just about perfect for it. So I went ahead, after putting on the flock, and we'll clean up all these sides, don't worry about all that. Threw on some rocks, as you saw, painted her up, attached her, and we're going to go ahead and add on just a few more flavor text things. So I got some small little plants here that I'm going to put on there. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit of red, I think. A little bit more color. These things. See that a little better now. We're gonna let that. So if I get, so let's set it back down quick. Pick it up by very high up. So once again, we can use PDA. Okay, a few more touches here. An easy way to make fake grass is just with one of these. Just cut these, especially with dead grass. I mean, it'll look really good with this. So we'll just okay. Hopefully you can see those. Kind of start putting them together and try to turn them all the same way. Not always easy to do. Then I can grab some like this. Trim the bottoms so that they're even. Dunk it into the PVA. And we'll pick a spot to put them. Right by the grave. Some overgrown grass there. Maybe nobody has visited her for a while. That's why she's sad coming up out of the grave. We're just going to do the same with some of these other ones. Yep, we can even use our fingers if we want to. We don't just discriminate on tools. Use whatever works. Okay, once we are done, satisfied with that, we can just come in and clean up the base just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use like a gloss black on it just to make the edges look better. That's a little better. Okay, so after letting the sun dry this a little bit, this is what is that one rock one looks like. So we'll go over dry brush a little bit of the dark colors just to bring out more highlights. Okay, I'm sure you know this by now, but you definitely want to use newer paint brushes for any type of dry brushing. You just get that paint on your brush and wipe some off. Should we go over some of that stuff? We got just some of the textures of some of these rocks. You know, I'm sure some people would probably argue with me, but I do not mind that little rock hanging over the edge. I kind of like stuff hanging over the edges of these, but maybe it's just me. Let me know if you mind that. Mind that yourself. If you ever make any faces, do you mind doing that in yours? Just let me know in the comments. Okay, now that we have the sand one, it's dry. I'm just going to throw on some more PVA glue and where we want it. I'm going to go in between these rocks. I don't really want them. On the rocks itself. Not even sure what I'm going to use this base for yet, but we'll figure it out. It would be nice to have it. Some sand. Sprinkle it in. Apply glue to the edges that we missed. Over here. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these bases and make a quick little base just for this guy. So first we take some PVA glue and we just spread it around with an old paintbrush. Just carefully not to get the rocks and stuff like that. And make sure you use an old paintbrush for this. You don't want to use a new one. Just with some blended tuft. Okay, so once again, I think I saw that I showed this before, but I got some of the stuff from like Hobby Lobby or something like that, and I thought that these would be really cool little like bushes or something like that. So I think we're gonna add one of those maybe, and some other stuff. And then we can just come in with the tuft of hair. Okay, now we're going to throw in just a couple rocks, just to make it look a little more natural. Okay, don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but I 3D printed up these little teeny tiny spiders and fungus and birds and all this other stuff to add to my bases. I think I'm going to paint this guy up and throw it on there real quick. Okay, he now has his very own little spider companion to go with him. Okay, now let's take one final look on some of these bases. I did not finish all of them like I thought I was going to. Some were just, I don't know, a little redundant. This one printed a little weird, so didn't just use it. This one was just a rock, haven't used that either. Some of these were kind of neat. Do some dry brushing on stuff like that, just bring out some of the textures. This one turned out okay. I like it. It's neat. I don't know what I'd ever put on there though, because I mean, what are you going to put on acid? Gelatin cube maybe? Gelatinous cube? This one I also thought was going to be really cool with the hands, but I just could not figure out what to put in there that would look right. So I didn't really do anything with this. If I do find anything, maybe I will come back and revisit this. But in the meantime, it's gonna sit in my shelf. The crystals turned out okay. I could see using this for some kind of a Underdark or a Drow or something like that. Maybe even a Necron. Might be kind of small for a Necron though. This one was one of the ones that I did kind of finish. Plan on maybe doing some kind of a druid or something like that on there. So I made a little kind of nature-ish. The lava ones turned out okay too, I think. Don't know once again what I'd put on there. Maybe some kind of fire elemental or something like that, possibly. But we'll try to figure that one out one day. Okay, so the desert one, as you can kind of see, turned out actually kind of cool. I really like this one. I might go back and throw a tarantula on that one too, because I mean, it would go with the desert. Wish I had a scorpion. That'd be neat. The swampy one that had the mushrooms on it, I went ahead and threw in a little bit of epoxy resin just to give it a little wet feeling. Painted up a little frog on the front of that. So that one was kind of swampy. It had the little lip on there, so I figured it'd be perfect for throwing some epoxy into. This one turned out to be one of my favorites. It was a lot of fun to do. I really enjoy doing like horror-based miniatures. They're a lot of fun to do. So this Uri was just about perfect for me to do. I liked it. I had a lot of fun doing it too. This one's definitely going on my shelf. The Ogre also had a lot of fun doing this one as well. I did a tutorial on this guy, which I'll try to link somewhere at the top of the video, but that came out yesterday, and had really a lot of fun with this one because it was a good big base. You could do a lot with it. Throw out some mushrooms and some plant life, and there's a couple little snails and a bird on there. Kind of hard to see though, unfortunately. Maybe I'll try to get some high-res images of it and throw it on there in this video too. And then finally, the last guy we did. Just a fun, easy little basing job on it. Don't have to be overly, stressful about it. Just have fun with it, and do your best. I kind of feel like the Bob Ross of miniature painting, I guess. Just make a happy little miniature. Okay, folks, if you are still with me, I really appreciate your time on this one. I know it ran a little long, but there was kind of a lot to go through. Hopefully you guys learned something. If not, I still hope you enjoyed it. Other than that, my next video will be coming out next weekend. I'm going to be doing some texture roller bases. So it's kind of going to be roughly the same thing, only I'm going to use the texture rollers rather than pre-3D printed bases. So we'll go through that, see if we can make some of those good looking, and go from there. If you have any questions, anything like that, please leave them down in the comments. I hope you hit the like button, subscribe. Please subscribe, definitely. And hit the little bell thingy so you know next time we upload. And other than that, I am going to go this time drink some vodka, and you guys have a good night.